So, as it's World Suicide Prevention Day on Monday, I just wanted to do a little bit of a chat really about my thoughts on suicide, and my own experiences with that. I think it's a really taboo topic that a lot of people are scared to talk about. A lot of people don't know how to talk about. A lot of people don't know how to deal with. It's a very complex issue. So I guess I just wanted to talk a bit really about the stigma that goes around suicide, and also what it feels like to be suicidal, because I think that's something that it's very difficult to explain. It's actually inexplainable to explain, but I'm going to sort of, try my best to explain how I felt. So suicide in general, there tends to be this misconception that it's a coward's way out. That's something that I hear a lot. And it's one thing that really boils my blood. I think it's a very blinkered view on suicide, and I think it's a very easy view to take, but actually, in my opinion, that couldn't be further from the truth. I actually think that I think it's the complete opposite of that, actually. And it's not the coward's way out. I always think of suicide as, and some people might think this is extreme, and I've said this before in a previous vlog, but that imagine that you have been captured and you have been taken to somewhere dark. You don't know where you are, you don't know what's going on, you don't know who you're with, you've got no idea what's going on around you, and you're kept in this dark place that you don't know where you are, what you're doing, who you are anymore, what's going on, who these people are, and that you're being tortured. Now that might seem really extreme, but imagine that situation, and imagine that situation over a prolonged period of time. And think about that for a second, and think about how you would feel going in to that situation on a longer basis. How would that make you feel in the end? Just think about that for a second, because that's what I often use to explain feeling suicidal. A lot of people might think it's extreme, but actually, feeling suicidal, it is extreme. Taking your own life is extreme. That's the extreme that mental illness gets, is somebody ending their own life. So yeah, it's extreme, but that's kind of how it is. And you're kind of in this position. Nobody wakes up thinking, I'm suicidal today. That's not how it works. It's generally a prolonged period of suffering mentally, depression, anxiety, whatever the diagnosis is, whatever the feelings are. It's a prolonged period of suffering and not knowing what to do with those feelings, and feeling like there's nobody that can help you with those feelings, and feeling like you have tried everything in the book, everything that anybody's tried to tell you, useful or not useful. You've tried it all, you've thought it all, you've felt it all, and actually nothing's making any difference. And this tunnel visioned view comes into play in your mind, and there is literally no way out of it. There is no light anymore. I know I go on about, always have hope. There is always hope, and I do believe that, but it's also very easy to lose sight of that. And once you've lost sight of that and you feel suicidal, it's gone. It might still be there, but in your mind it's gone. And there is no help, there is no hope, there is no turning back, there is no nothing. You've tried this, you've tried that, you've tried services, friends, family, blocks, nothing. Nothing is making you feel any better. So where do you go from there? And it gets to the point where it's like, I can't live with this pain anymore. I can't live with what is going on inside here, what is going on inside here. Whatever the situation is, whatever the illness, the diagnosis, personal circumstances, whatever it is that drives somebody to that moment of suicide, it's extreme, and it's pain, and it's agony, and there is no way out. And it's a very final decision after a prolonged period of suffering. It's not just a decision on the whim, that's for attention or whatever. It's because somebody cannot cope anymore, and they cannot see how anyone is going to help them anymore, and that is what it comes down to. you know, the same way as if you were in a physical pain, that go back to the torture, being captured, dark room torture, or a physical pain, you know, just for a prolonged period of time. You know, there's a crossover between physical health and mental health, and having prolonged physical health problems can cause mental illness in people and mental health issues, because they do have a crossover effect. So it all kind of comes together, and whatever it is, it's just a prolonged period of suffering where it just feels like there is no way out. And I think that's really important to keep in mind, that it's not about attention. It's not about, you know, somebody trying to curry favour or whatever. It's an extremely painful moment in somebody's life. You know, I remember when I felt like that, and I planned to end my own life. That was after a really long time. That was after years, actually, of you know, trying the NHS and trying psychiatrists and psychotherapists and therapists, and I literally wasn't getting anywhere. And you know, having bipolar, my moods were bouncing all around. I was experiencing mania without knowing it was mania, depression without knowing it was depression, self-harm without knowing what I was doing, and I had no support in that period. And so for me, you know, into sort of like my mid-20s, where I made the decision that I was going to end my own life, that was after a hell of a fight. That wasn't just a decision off the bat, you know, that was years. And it just got to the point where I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? No one can help. No one can say anything. No one's doing anything. You know, I don't have a huge support family network. I haven't got loads of friends. What am I going to do? At that point, my partner at the time had also been sent to prison, and I was on my own, and I was just like, well, what am I supposed to do? And that feeling, the actual feeling itself, it's actually indescribable. I myself, on the night that I'd planned, actually went into a very calm state of mind, which I've heard said a lot. Calm, but kind of like I didn't know what I was doing from one moment to the next. At that point of my life, my mind had fragmented. I was literally, you know, for example, I would have spoke to my mum on the phone, and I'd put the phone down to my mum, and I'd be like, did I just speak to my mum on the phone? My mind had gone. So I was calm, but I was also like all over the place. For me, it was a completely random moment of somebody messaging me out of the blue, and it was somebody that I hadn't spoken to before online, because I was sat there with my laptop in front of me. Some people might find that odd, but it was like normalising the situation that actually I was in the process of ending my own life. And at that moment, somebody messaged me who I'd never spoken to on Messenger ever before, only by phone, and it snapped my mind just for that 1 second, and I can't even remember what I said back to him in that moment, but it was obviously something to do with what I was doing. And yeah, you know, that's basically why I'm still here. Otherwise, I'm pretty damn sure that I would have sat that night and had that message not come through, with the state that my mind was in, I would have just carried on. I'm pretty sure of that. This is why I'm such a believer in the fact that the smallest things can make a big difference. It's why I do my happy post. It's why I've done the notes on the bridge. I'm a firm believer that at that moment, sometimes all it takes, not for everyone, but sometimes all it takes is distraction, just a moment to snap out of that blinking vision. And that's kind of why I do what I do. And that was my moment. And that saved my life ultimately, I believe. So yeah, you know, with it being World Suicide Prevention Day on Monday, I just kind of wanted to make this video and just put that out there, and say that it's not simple. It's not straightforward. It's not that what will help for one person won't help for everybody. But I think it's really important to just take time for people. It's so important. You know, a message, you know, text, whatever it is, just letting people know there, because you don't know. Like for me, you don't know what that one message will do. It could save somebody's life. You literally don't know. Just that one moment of chance is sometimes all it takes, and I think it's really important to remember that. And while all these suicide prevention days, mental health awareness days, You know, I'm a believer that it should be going on 365 days of the year, but I am a huge supporter of these days because I think that it also brings together people thinking about it that probably, unlike me or, you know, like some of you, wouldn't think about it on a regular basis. It brings it to the forefront of their mind, so it is important. So, you know, not just around this time, but just all times. Just remember, just to check in with the people around you. It's very easy for us all to kind of get blinkered and caught up in our own day-to-day lives. But I am literally proof that sometimes a message in a moment is literally all it takes.